Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very special. Ow. Okay, so Zeus is being a massive pain right now, but today we're actually doing a very special remembrance of Patriots Day, September 11th. Sorry, I just had to plant the dog into the ground. So, hopefully now he'll be better. The things that happen live, people. The things that happen live. So, today, Patriots Day, September 11th. 21 years ago today, the United States was attacked. Not just once, not just twice, but 4 times in total. This is the day in which we solemnly remember those that were directly and indirectly affected by those very cowardice attacks. But before we get into all of that, as you can see, I have changed up the stream a little bit. So this is going to be more of a forum instead of just a somber event of remembrance. So as always, I am accompanied by my good fellows. Directly above me, slightly, is Zach, Goodfellow ZK.
Hello.
Underneath him is Brennis, aka Word Runner.
Howdy.
And the man that's directly across from me just happens to be the president to Saves. Eric also goes by Skeeterbolt here on Twitch. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So
I've got kids yelling, so I probably won't say anything unless you absolutely need me to.
And that's completely understandable. With how many little regrets you got running around, completely understandable. So 21 years today. 21 years. God, I feel old.
Yeah, most of y'all were in diapers.
Diapers. I was in pull-ups.
Brennan was still scootering around the floor.
I was walking at that point.
I was in high school.
I was the same. I was in high school.
Ouch. Quit making me feel like a baby.
You are the baby of the group, though. But even still, 21 years ago today, both the Twin Towers in New York City were flown into by terrorists. 2,900 and oh geez, what was it? The
977.
996, sir. I have my reference material in front of me.
996 between all 4 attacks.
Between all 4 attacks of people that lost their lives in that cowardice. We got Iris in the chat saying I was in high school as well.
Yep.
So most of us remember what happened. I'm gonna go before we go and get into my first question for all of y'all. Why don't we just take a minute, have a moment of silence for all those beloved souls that were passed on that day. Thank you, everyone. Now, the moment of silence is used universally across all four branches of the military, the police department, the fire departments, EMS, and pretty much the entire world recognizes the moment of silence as a remembrance of those that were lost, a remembrance of the time that they were lost, but also to celebrate the person's life as well. So it is never to be seen as something that is saddening. It's just coming from the heart. So I was going to start off with the question of what do you remember? Where were you when September 11th, 2001 happened? Let's start at the very top and work our way down.
All right. Let's see. I remember I was first we heard of it. I was in band room at high school, and then I think I'd gotten to English class whenever the towers actually fell. Yeah, that's I don't know how much more seeing the stories coming out. Then it wasn't they didn't have the instant access to everything that well as they do, like all the cell phone videos and everything. That I don't think anybody actually used those before then. I don't remember exactly when like sending videos on a cell phone like normally feasible. But I don't think it was before then. I think it was.
Thank you, Zach. Brennis?
So mine was a little bit different. I am only 23 years old. So when the Twin Towers fell, when the first strike occurred, um, just a moment after my parents were both home. I was in pull ups and was staring at the TV where my cartoons had been, trying to figure out why my mother was crying, why my dad was letting food smoke on the stove, trying to figure out what was going on as I saw billowing clouds come from a building. I didn't know any better at the time, but seeing the aftermath, seeing the cleanup crews push through the wreckage, seeing the bodies for the first time in my life was different. Probably the only memory I have from such a young age, but it stuck more than anything else ever did.
Eric, do you mind sharing?
Yeah, I was a senior in high school. I was in geometry class when that shit happened. I'd already done all my shit, all my enlistment shit and everything. I was already ready to go um, into the Air Force at the time, but it was pretty surreal.
Like Zach and Eric, I was in high school as well. I was a junior at the time. Believe it or not, I was actually sitting in history class, and I remember my teacher getting a phone call. This is on the intercom inside of the high school, and he takes the call, and then he like quickly hangs it up and runs it over to the TV inside the classroom and turns it on. And he looks at all of us and says, "Pay close attention. This is history in the making. You are never going to forget this." And we saw live on the TV when the second plane actually hit. Now, unfortunately, wasn't able to watch much more because class changes. But after that point, I knew. Well, I didn't know. I had a feeling that I needed to do something more with my life. And because of that feeling, it kind of brought me into a different area of my life. It brought me to looking at things differently. Brandis, you may need to restart your video again.
I think that's on your end, man. I don't know. It looked fine on my end.
If it's on my end,
Yeah.
that means I gotta restart everything, and that would be bad.
That McDonald's Wi-Fi is kicking your ass, bro.
Oh, it's not even McDonald's. It's Waffle House.
It's even worse. It's in the
Whoa.
It's in the Appalachian Mountain Wi-Fi, so it's spotty at best.
That's like I said, Waffle House.
Waffle House is delicious, sir.
Oh, no argument here.
You better watch your tone. Start talking about Waffle House.
Oh, I'm over here about to get my butt beat.
Yeah, it is what it is. But that feeling though, that feeling when it all happened, for me. I mean, granted, I could pretty much speak for most Americans right when it happened, and that was the complete and utter shock. But the emotions afterward, the thoughts, the feelings, everything that developed from that utter shock. Everybody experienced it differently. I mean, for me, it gave me a new drive. It gave me a new goal, a new focus in life. Brennis, even though you were no taller than knee high, do you think it affected you emotionally?
Absolutely. My uncle enlisted in the Marine Corps. He served 01 TAC 06. And he was supposed to serve till 07. It was a huge role model for me growing up, and I didn't understand why he had enlisted in the first place. To me, the military was a foreign concept. It was something that I never truly understood until I chose to enlist myself. But seeing him go out to take action for something that had been committed when I was knee high was drastically world altering. It didn't just change my perspective on life, it changed my perspective on how the world worked, which led me to choosing a career in the Air Force. I'd had plenty of people enlist in the Marines and the Army, and I never truly grasped why they would do that until I connected all the dots. Realizing that the Twin Towers Memorial shone bright every 9/11. And just seeing that image of where thousands of people died, I kind of started to grasp it. I started to understand why I should have chosen to pass sooner in all reality. But at the end of the day, it was my choice. I chose to fight for what I believe in. I believe that attack should have never have happened. Well, we can't change the past, so we do our best to change the present. Make a better future. So regardless of coming up in diapers and pull-ups when 9/11 occurred, I became wiser for it. Knowing the reality of what the world really was. It was sombering, to say the least.
So, say the biggest thing that affected me, like, I can't start thinking about anything that has to do with 9/11 without that Toby Keith song coming up in my head. Like, like every time, like I start thinking about it, it's like, oh, where was I? Like, there it is. Where was I when the world was turning? You know, stop turning. You know, every single time, somebody says like 9/11, like, man, there's a song. You know, I immediately like back to when it happened. Like that next, month, 2 months where everybody was insanely interested in America. It was people were actually studying more into what it actually meant to be in America. At like a staggering after that.
Oh, we have a correction here in chat for you there, Zach. It was Alan Jackson that sang "Where Were You?"
Yep.
That was Alan
I was
Jackson.
gonna say Toby Keith's thing where White and Blue.
Yeah, that was the other. Yeah,
Okay, you.
and that song comes up right after that. Like if I think about it long enough, it's like,
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what, I can't listen to Red, White, and Blue to this day without having tears come to my eye. Just no, I haven't been deployed. I have yet to go through a deployment, and I probably never will. But knowing what that song means to so many, seeing a unit come back from deployment with 2 less boots is absolutely devastating.
4 less boots from my unit out of a battalion of nearly 800. Eric, you're on deck.
I dude, that shit was so long ago. I honestly don't even remember. I can't remember what I ate 3 days ago. You want me to remember something from 21 years ago?
You gotta cut him some slack. He's old.
I mean, I don't think Eric and I are all that far apart in age. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, I know.
Eric's been blown up 15 times. Have you?
3. So I kind of understand where you're coming from.
You know, it's counting on that number. I'm doing pretty well at only being blown up once.
Yeah, but if you get blown up, so does half the country.
That's fair. That's very fair. Only once so far.
Then all of a sudden, everybody becomes the entire fucking Incredible Hulk.
No, we just look at great shadow pictures.
Yeah, if we would have blown up while I was on deployment, we would have just started World War III.
100%. I absolutely believe that.
Well, that was. Well, that just kind of worked out.
I see how it cut too. So, for those of you that aren't tracking, oh, and he's back. It's all good. That was Skeeter Bolt's emblem, Eric's emblem. For those of you that don't know, this is our wonderful president of Saves. It's the charity that myself, Zach, and David all work with. Myself and David are on the mental health team. Zach is a team member. And Eric, the beautiful bearded man that you see, is the president of the whole shebang.
The other one.
Fortunately.
Did you say unfortunately?
Yeah. For y'all.
Yeah. Unfortunate for us. It's okay. It's okay. We're all used to being screamed at. We've all been through basic at one point or another.
And we've all dealt with your
I
wife
ain't-
beforehand, so we know
I'm
that
kidding.
is.
I'm kidding. Eric doesn't actually yell at us. Please don't get upset at that.
No, but he does, but that's only when he needs to vent.
I've never yelled at any of y'all. You'd know if I had.
It would sound like a drill
That's-
instructor coming out.
That's a topic for another time.
Your eyes would twitch when you heard my voice.
I've been known to kill small animals.
I heard that
Oh, okay.
story.
So, for those of you that don't know, I understand this is absolutely a day of remembrance for 9/11 and the 2,996 that were lost between 4 different attacks using 4 different aircraft. One striking just outside of Pennsylvania after the flight members decided they were going to overtake the aircraft. 2 striking the Twin Towers, and 1 striking the Pentagon. That being said, we had an absolutely fantastic story told to us the other day about how the bass in Eric's voice killed a goldfish, or was it a beta? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was a beta.
It was a
dad's fish.
fish of some kind was killed by the bass of Eric's voice while he was screaming.
It was my dad's fish, so I probably saved it some trauma.
Jeez.
His booming voice carried forth so much that the aquarium that the fish was in kind of vibrated a little too much and kind of threw one of those brain cells out of whack, and it just dropped to the bottom of the tank. Oh.
But there again, that's one of those things. Like I said, I didn't want this to be an overly somber remembrance of those that we lost. And yes, it pissed off the United States. It pissed off every red-blooded
Yep.
American, and everybody that didn't understand what an American was learned real quick what an American is. And as you all saw 21 years ago, the United States became the finger of God again and just went, delete. Now, granted, yes, it sent us in a decade-long war. A war in which is never really going to be won. The war on terrorism. The war on hatred. The war on inequality. But you know what? Thanks to these fine gentlemen that joined me here today, every day that we are here, every day that we support that emblem up there and that beautiful waving flag behind it, we are working to make a better place for every person out there.
Absolutely.
And it all started because of that man over there decided, I want to do something, to help other people, to help veterans, to help first responders, and to help every person that he comes across in some form or fashion. And you know what?
He kicks ass doing it.
He kicks ass doing it. And as soon as he said that, I'm aboard. From day one, I was aboard.
Same here.
And I'm never going to look back on it. I'm going to keep pressing forward. I'm going to remember the great times and all the struggles that we had when we were first starting out.
No comment.
No comment, he says.
The greatest American strategy: learn from your downfalls and succeed in your struggles.
You know, so just to pivot off of this, I thought of another thing that changed in everyone's thinking. I remember, like, even today, every time I'm getting on an airplane, like, the airport is like where everybody's inner, Karen neighborhood watch like comes out on high alert, and you just
Yep.
like you're doing like trying to do analyze on like everybody, like analyze their movement. It's like not even almost like it's like just in your subconscious, just going like doing like risk assessments like for everybody, and then being on the airplane and looking around and be like, all right, who's gonna help me like knock somebody out?
Yep.
We're ready to go. Like you don't need no air marshals here. We're good. We got this.
And that's kind of
Yeah.
that kind of goes back to what happened right outside of Pittsburgh with the fourth plane. I mean, those people on there that said, "Oh hell no, this motherfucker's going down," and stood up to those terrorists that hijacked the plane.
Yep.
I applaud you even to this day, ladies and gentlemen. You have my utmost respect, and you should actually be buried with the honored dead in Arlington, in my opinion.
100%.
They were national heroes. National heroes.
So, I had something brought to my attention the other day that I never really considered being enlisted and being forced to follow it. The Geneva Convention, for those of you that don't know, does not apply to civilians. The laws that air marshals have to follow does not apply to civilians. So if for whatever reason you have to make that choice, you have to choose right then and there that you are going to absolutely stop something, there's practically nothing that can stop you. I mean, you might be prosecuted later on, but it won't hold up. It won't hold up in the slightest. Which I think is part of why so many people are on such high alert. Because in all reality, if you choose to set your mind to it, hell or be damned, you're going to stop whatever the hell is happening.
Now, granted, that's going with the thought process of, are you going to embrace your fight reflex, or are you going to embrace your flight reflex? Because let's just put it lightly, you always have those to deal with. But
Oh, absolutely.
a civilian, doesn't matter if you're civilian, military member, first responder, doesn't matter. Everybody has that reflex. Us in the military, I know, especially for me in the Marine Corps, it was the flight response was completely negated, and they said, "Nah, you're gonna fight." So that's the first thing I'm gonna do.
I don't necessarily 100% agree with that based on
Oh.
my experiences in combat, but that's a story for another time.
Absolutely. And I've witnessed a couple different responses to situations. Well, once again, that's a conversation for another time. For those of you that have recently joined us, thank you very much for joining Grumpy Vets. I am Brennis, otherwise known as Wordrunner. Just up above me, you'll see Zach, the wonderful man himself.
Hello.
To my left side, sorry, I had to think about that, you'll see Eric, the president of Saves. And to my right side, you'll see David, the host of tonight's show, otherwise known as Lord Thorin. Tonight, we are remembering 9/11, the 2,996 that died between 4 different attacks on the Twin Towers, otherwise known as the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and the flight that crashed in a field in Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to be precise.
To be very precise.
But it's
Thank you all so much for joining us. David, what was that? Sorry. My brain blanked when you started to say something.
Yeah. My brain just went to. You should have went with stage right and left, not your right.
Basically.
I was even going to okay, this is left, which is technically my right. This is right, which is technically my left. Yeah, that's the reason why I'm always confused about which way to point at times.
Oh yeah, it's a constant struggle as to which direction I'm going to be aiming at.
That's the reason why if you're not above me or below me, I'm going, there we go, this way or this way, and actually point because I'm looking at my screen going, okay, that's where they are. The joys of being a content creator, everybody.
Yeah.
But even so, we have... Now, besides those heroes, and that's coming from me, I served 4 years active duty in the United States Marine Corps, and I'm calling them heroes. And I get, I don't know how to respond when somebody calls me a hero for being a combat veteran, and I'm just like, I just did what I felt was right. And you know what? Those people did what was right. It's not even what they felt was right. They did what was right. Because they saved more lives than anything else. The first responders, the NYPD, the New York Fire Department, and all the EMS in New York City and also surrounding areas such as Jersey City responded to those attacks. It took 18 minutes between the first plane and the second plane to hit. First responders were not even on site yet for the first hit. And you had Americans helping their brothers and sisters up out of the ashes, getting each other out of the danger zone. And then when first responders did show up, they had that much more support because we are a family. We are brothers and sisters. And it doesn't matter what flag you're flying. And by the way, Word, I did see that beer run, and it is right here.
I've got one of my own right here. I got my fridge right beside me.
I got a Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Mike's Hard, cranberry.
Mike's harder. This is 8%. I'm okay.
And what
You sprout a vagina since I last talked to you? What the fuck?
Bro, you didn't even have your pinky out.
It's the easiest thing to get a hold of, Eric. Seriously. Like, I can't even find Voodoo Ranger outside of On Base, and as soon as I go to go buy some, they're out.
That's because
Drink fucking whiskey like a man.
I'm sure they
Listen
have
here.
that too.
Listen here. This is going on YouTube, motherfucker. I got 70 proof mango habanero.
That ain't whiskey.
Leadslinger, bourbon whiskey.
Yeah, there you go. He's got the right idea.
I bought that for him, you ass.
But you're not drinking it.
You know
That's the whole
what?
point.
You don't even want to know how much that fucking bottle costs.
all right.
You want to know how much a bottle of wine costs?
Oh god, I don't even want to think about it.
That kind of actually brings me up to something in which I wanted to do. And
Okay.
as military and as an Irishman, it's one of those have one for your buddies that have gone past. So if you got one, doesn't matter what it is, why don't you join me for a swig?
He may not consider this whiskey, but it's the closest damn thing I got.
To those 2,996 that were lost, we salute you.
Amen.
I don't have anything to drink at my desk right now. Sorry.
That's
Woo!
what right. Oh man, that is good bourbon.
Yeah, I don't drink that much anymore.
I don't either. I drank last night, so probably won't again for another week.
You know,
Like, I've just switched over.
yeah, I'm kind of in the same deal as Eric. I only drink like once a week, and it's like a beer, maybe two now.
Yeah, it's not much. Every now and then I'll
Like-
kill a bottle of mead, but
Make-
I'll drink an entire bottle in one night. But God, that's like a 2-day recovery.
Makes me feel like shit for drinking every week.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, I was gonna say I am still active duty, so
Yeah, also different phase in their life as well. I mean, granted, you are going to be a father here soon.
I already got a kid here. He was running around earlier. I'm surprised he didn't come over here in his underwear.
Yeah.
Like Eric's kids.
Listen. My kid goes to bed at 7:30 p.m. And for those of you that don't know, I am in Central Time, so 7:30 is about 40 minutes from now.
Gotta love those time zones.
Right? So, on our docket, we've got the mental health aspect of how this actually affected you. Eric, you already had plans to enlist by the time this had occurred. You'd finished your paperwork. What was the thought going through your head when you said, yes, absolutely, I'm going to enlist, let's go?
Oh, I mean, like I said, I had already had all this shit done to go anyway, so it was just kind of a, okay, well, I guess that's happening type thing.
I can't blame you at all. I was on the cusp of the war on Russia when I enlisted, which, for those of you that don't know, between 2017 and 2018, there was a very tense conflict where the two leaders of the nations were trying to decide whether or not they were going to get along. And I happened to enlist in the middle of that. My career field being known, I basically sat in absolute constant agony of, well, this might happen.
See, for me, I joined in 2003. Actually, set literally shoes on the yellow footprints on Paris Island on November 10th, 2003. Marine Corps birthday, and I was its present. During that point in time, we already had boots on the ground in Afghanistan and Iraq and Kuwait. So
Yep.
I think my original enlistment date was September 22nd of 02.
Man, Eric, you and I are really close in age then. A year behind each
Couple
other.
years.
A year behind each other in high school. I joined up a year after you. We're either the same.
Yeah, have some more kids, and you'll get all this lovely gray to go with it.
Oh, mine! I already got 3, so I'm halfway to what you got, and I'm already starting to get the
No,
gray in the beard.
no, you're not even halfway.
Bird,
my
that's
glitter's
right.
starting to come out a little bit.
But even still,
Yeah,
I
there's no glitter here.
I knew the shit was gonna hit the fan. I knew one of the days during my enlistment, I was gonna be putting boots on the sand and having to deal with it. And
I honestly never had to worry about that due to my MOS when I was in the Air Force. Now, when I got out of the Air Force, I did 3.5 years in the Air Force and got out. Then I enlisted in the Army. That's when it was real. Because I knew as soon as I enlisted in the Army that I was going, and I did.
What was your AFSC in the Air Force?
2A753 sheet metal.
Oh, okay. All right. I understand that because I worked with them.
Yeah, I was a sheet metal tech. There wasn't no way I'd ever get deployed to a combat zone as a sheet metal tech.
100%. I have had half of my sheet metal techs deployed to a combat zone. They deployed to FOBs doing armor repair on Humvees.
No, that's not sheet metal. That wouldn't have been sheet metal. That would have been that probably would have been metal tech, because they were more the fabricators, welding, heavy metal, shit like that. Sheet metal, literally all we dealt with was aluminum, fucking fiberglass, stuff like that. And I was on B-52s, so no, I was not going to a fucking combat zone.
Yeah, that's fair.
no, he was sending over the birds that would drop the bombs in the combat zone.
That's fair. I 100% have worked with those cats too.
I was working on the planes that would turn the entirety of that country into a fucking parking lot.
Yeah, not just a parking lot, a real bumpy parking lot.
See, for me,
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that I kind of get is, whenever somebody says, like, thank you for, for whatever you did, I'm like, it's real hard for me to put together the pieces of, what I actually did to help. So being on, a submarine, there's hasn't been, a naval battle, anywhere. So all we do is, we go and, test our capabilities or whatever they call it, for 6 months overseas, go to these foreign ports, and it's sitting there and you're looking at stuff, but you never know what you're doing. Like even everybody up to the captain, they knew specifically what we were doing, but as far as like past that, the bigger picture, still like in the blank. So it's hard to put like gratification into the job, because other than that, back after, we're just sitting there like, all right, well, we got to operate a nuclear reactor, so we're going to do it safe, and we got to get ready for the inspection. Cool, the inspection's done. Let's get ready for the inspection. So it wasn't. It wasn't like we were actually, at war.
See, my MOS, even though in the Marine Corps, every Marine is a rifleman first off, but my main job while I was a cook. Do you know what? the cooks got sent out on deployments just as much as the grunts, as Motor T, as anybody else. So I knew it was going to be taught, and sooner or later, I would be boots, like I said, boots in the sand. And here I was, Operation Iraqi Freedom, '06 TAC '08, patrolling the streets of Fallujah. And that's where I really got messed up in here. Something that I deal with daily. And also something in which I learned from. And I use that knowledge that I learned and experience that I have to help others as well.
I think uh, the the more I got like higher or more into my enlistment, they started to tell us a little bit more about what we were doing because somebody had misused like a tactical situation uh, for like a safeguard, like pushing an override just to kick it a little bit more type of deal because it's tactical or something like that. Uh, there's like an as necessary, so they had a lot of training on you have to make sure you're doing whatever it is because where we were sometimes it was worth the risk to the reactor in order to not be seen.
This coming from the man that it's probably the highest rank out of all four of us. Right, Chief?
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah.
E7.
But on that note, how about we start giving our last thoughts? Let's start with
Absolutely.
our esteemed guest, Eric. Any last words?
I mean, nothing that I can think. I mean, honestly, it's a shitty day in our history. Everybody still thinks about it at some point or another, I'm sure. The biggest thing is resilience and pushing through that and not letting it drag you down. And that same goes for anything else that might be weighing on your mind. And if you ever need help, I think you got a link to the damn charity in your thing. Feel free to click that and get in touch with somebody. Talk about it. Don't let your problems drag you down.
Brennis?
I have absolutely plugged the hell out of saves, and I have inputted about how great they are. And if you don't understand, go jump into the About section below. You'll be able to see Lord Thorn's Discord. You should also see a link to the Saves website. You'll be able to see Eric, our vice president, our CFO, our CEO. You'll be able to gather a good amount of information from them. And if for whatever reason, you don't feel like talking to somebody that is specifically over a certain area, you can absolutely talk to the mental health team. Myself and David are both on it. And we absolutely are willing to help, to listen, or to find something that can help you. We are solely here to make sure that you feel safe, feel secure, and ultimately gain a better perspective on life. As crummy as it can be, it's still worth living.
Zach?
I think one of the less known kind of lessons to take away from 9/11 was the immediate afterwards the level of fear, that was, instilled on everybody because we were attacked, in the 48 at home, mass scale, and the willingness to do whatever it took in order to secure, like, safety, and kind of only later, years later, realizing like the consequence of what we were willing to do. Talk about the 9/11, like the Patriot Act that came out right after 9/11, where essentially we gave over rights, for the government to like listen in terrorists, but in order to find them, you have to listen to everybody else. Just the reach that we gave, the security that we gave up, or what we what we had to give up in order to get security.
Gentlemen, I can't say this enough, but thank you so very much for coming out tonight. As always, it was a pleasure. Zach, Brennis, and for you, Eric, you're always welcome here, and it was always a pleasure. Hopefully next time you come on and join us, it will be in a very, very light-hearted, more grumpy vets picking on each other aspect. Like you kind of saw what we were doing earlier a little bit. But everybody, again, we love you all. You are all important to us. And we will do whatever we can to help you within our power. In my About Me section, like Brenna said, and there are saves, and there's also the link to my Discord. My DMs are always open. And I know Brennis is the same way.
Same here.
So if you ever need somebody to talk to, we are here. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
It might take us a little bit tough time to get back to you, depending on what time you send a message.
Absolutely. I sleep for a good portion of the day, but if you hit me about 05 Central Time, I'll be awake. I'll be able to catch you.
And I don't care what country you're in. Really don't.
100%.
We are human first before there's a flag. So everybody, I thank you very much for coming out. It's been a pleasure. I love you all. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. As always, I'm going to be leaving you with some very valuable information besides the About Me section. And for those of you listening out in the YouTube land, which this will be posted the same week as 9/11, I promise. Come join us live on Twitch, twitch.tv/LordThorn. We do this every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, blah, 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 time zones. And if you would be so kind, drop subscription, hit that like button, do whatever you think you feel is right for this. But on that, I thank you. I salute you. Good night, everybody.